BYD offers the Atto3 in Australia currently, and it's a really, really nice car. But in 3 days' time, on the 22nd of June 2023, you can go and buy the Dolphin, the BYD Dolphin. And I thought this would be a really good time to do a bit of a, just put them side by side, reconcile them, and see what's what. Because lots of people will be keen to know what the difference is and why the Dolphin is noticeably cheaper than the Atto3. So let's get into it. Remember to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay up to date when I release the next videos. I release videos every day. And of course, the next video actually on release day for the Dolphin is in 3 days' time. So be sure to watch that video then on the 22nd. Also click the like button. That just lets YouTube know that people like this video. We want to compare the price, the range, and size of these two models, along with statistics on what expected range you can get to help Australian consumers make a better decision, particularly talking about range, because that is a big deal here in Australia, because we can chew through $300 or $400 of typical EV range in Australia. I know most people don't. Most people live in cities in Australia. 80% of people live in cities, but there are a lot of people that don't. And also the distances that you can drive to go see, say like a family or friend or a relative, you know, can quite easily for a lot of people turn into a 2, 3, 4 hour trip out of the city. And so I think a lot of people just not like to know that it is possible to do these trips when they buy an EV. So it's just it is a big deal here. And even if statistically you could show that it shouldn't be a concern, it is for most people right now. Like it is definitely a thing they're thinking of when they're buying it. Also, please stick around until the end because I've got a few extra things that I wanted to talk about. Things that I think must be said about buying electric vehicles in Australia. Any electric vehicle, not just cars actually. This pertains to e-bikes and scooters or whatever it is. Things that are not common knowledge yet in Australia, although I'm pretty sure it won't take very long before this becomes common knowledge, but I still think we're in that transitional phase. When considering the price, the BYD Dolphin stands out as the more attractive option. While the exact pricing for the Dolphin in Australia is yet to be announced, there are things we can guess. So its positioning as the most affordable electric vehicle from BYD suggests a competitive price. So most likely starting at $30,000 Australian before on-road costs, and then that is also before any discounts from your local council or state. So going through from 30,000 up to 40,000 is most likely that's the price window. So in China, it actually starts at the equivalent of 25,000 Australian dollars before on-road costs. And all numbers here are before on-road costs and subsidies. So on the other hand, the BYD Atto3, although potentially offering more features and maybe extra power, comes at a slightly higher price. So generally, if you want to go test drive an Atto3, they generally won't let you. There are too many requests for them, so you'll likely be told to place an order, as I was, and then test drive it, and then decide to cancel or keep your order. The Atto3 is currently $51,000 Australian for the long range version, and the Dolphin is going to be around 30 to 40. So you can imagine the Dolphin is probably going to be nudging 40, and then you should get your discount in your state. We should mention that in some states here in Australia, there are fantastic incentives to buy electric cars. Some states like Queensland, you can get $6,000 off now. They just raised that. In Victoria, they just cancelled their incentive. No idea why. It's crazy. Range is a crucial factor, of course, for electric vehicle owners anywhere, but particularly in Australia, people have got it in their minds that they really must be able to do, you know, interstate 5,000 kilometre trips or something, you know. But understandably, having done some interstate travelling here, you do get a sense of the vastness of the trip. So I can see why you'd be a little bit concerned. The BYD Atto3 typically offers an impressive range with estimates. Well, estimates, not really so much estimates, but like maybe that's the wrong word, estimates. And also having driven one and spoken to people that own them, they're generally getting 340 kilometers on a full charge. And that's not running it dead. That's still with a few percent left. And so, that's running in Australia with the AC on and with half motorway driving, half around the suburbs. So this range makes it pretty good for long trips. That's a long, if you've ever driven 300 or 400 kilometers, it's a long way. And it reduces the need for frequent recharging. On the other hand, the BYD Dolphin has a great range too, because that caters well to daily commuting and shorter trips, but you can get it pretty much with the same battery pack. So it will have pretty much the same range, a little bit better. Slightly better is roughly what you'll get. You're likely to be getting 350, maybe a little extra, maybe a little bit less. It really depends on your driving style, the weather, where you are. For example, in Tassie, if you live in Tasmania, you probably don't use your air conditioning very much, and that's a little bit, that'll get you a little bit. So while the exact range for the Dolphin in Australia is not yet available, we pretty much know, this range is definitely sufficient for most people for urban and suburban driving, and it provides a reliable transportation without frequent charging stops. Not to mention that the batteries are the LFP batteries, which is the more advanced chemistry. So they are the only batteries to be able to take the nail penetration test. Where they put a nail through the cells, the actual battery cells, whilst being fully charged. And they actually do lots of other really crazy, intense things, like put fully charged batteries in a furnace and heat it up to 300 and something degrees Celsius. All sorts of stuff. LFP batteries, super safe. That's the gold standard, I think, for 2023. And yeah, the nail penetration test. The worst thing that happens is the surface temperature of the battery cells goes to 60 degrees Celsius at some places along the battery. So no smoke, no fires, nothing. So this single fact is what is making them the favorite chemistry in EVs. There are a couple of other things, of course, like how they're made and the rarity and the cost to get the materials inside them. Of course, that is a thing, but I think the general consensus is the safety aspect of these batteries, the chemistry. Tesla now uses this chemistry too, and BYD uses it in their cars, such as the Atto3 and the Dolphin and other cars. So they're actually using their infamous blade cells. So they're really straightforwardly, put together. You should. This is the thing for me. This is what I think about. In the future, to repair or replace one or two of these cells, if in 10 or 20 years they become a bit bad, I suspect it'll be quite easy to draw down the battery module and replace a cell. Easier than some cars. For example, the Nissan Leaf, if you've looked inside the Nissan Leaf battery, looks quite complex, a bit tricky. But that's just a guess. I'm not an engineer, and I haven't actually replaced batteries in an EV before. Thank you to anybody that has joined on Patreon or YouTube memberships, or has even thought about buying me a coffee. Links to these are in the description below, and it enables me to do what I love doing, making these videos for you, which takes forever to research, honestly, so thoroughly, so that I'm actually getting you accurate information that maybe the mainstream media isn't giving you. They just want to give you something that you can click on and consume and just be, move on. I want to make sure I'm getting the right information. So if you don't want to join on Patreon or anything like that, that's okay. This is YouTube. It's free. So if you're a bit scared, just click the like button. That really just helps the video massively. Size can greatly impact the practicality and maneuverability of a car. This is why I love small cars, such as the BYD Yuan Pro. Brilliant car. Link in the description to my other video on that. So watch that video after this one. I'll also put it at the end on the little boxes that come up. The BYD Atto3 is generally larger, offering more interior space and cargo capacity. And this makes it suitable for those people that require ample room for passengers or luggage. The larger size also contributes to it being a more comfortable and spacious driving experience. And it is. It really is. It's just a modern, safe, decent sized car is what it is. It's not massive, it's not big, it's not small, it's just right in the middle. A lovely car. And it's a modern, safe, it feels fancy. It really does feel fancy. My only thing I'm not a big fan of is the very spacey feel of the inside of the car. Really, I just wouldn't mind a more conventional looking car, which the Dolphin actually does have. So I really prefer the Dolphin inside, actually. In contrast, the Dolphin is a more compact size, similar to that of a Toyota Corolla hatchback. So very, very close to the actual size of the Corolla. This smaller footprint enhances its agility and maneuverability. So the way that it takes off and swerves a little bit and navigates around city streets is less wallowy, and it will just feel a bit darty. And that is really important. I really like that in a car. So it makes it ideal for navigating suburbs and cities and going around traffic lights and fitting into parking spaces in cities like where I live here in Brisbane, where it's quite busy, and you often just swinging around into car parking spaces, looking at how difficult it is when a ute driver pulls in and they've got a massive 2-ton massive ute and they're trying to fit in, and you can just swing in. Really, I love small cars. When deciding between the Atto3 and the Dolphin, I think the Australian consumer should consider what are your priorities regarding price and range and size. What can you afford, I suppose? Is there a need to push it for what it is that you like about that car? Is there a reason why you'd want to pay a little extra for it? If affordability and a compact vehicle are key considerations, like for me, it would be the Dolphin. It's at an attractive price point, and the smaller size make it a compelling choice for a lot of people, like me, because I know other people just like a small car. It offers a sufficient range, like a proper electric car range, for daily commuting, shorter trips, which is the same for the Atto3, but it also does long trips. It's good, and it has nice charging on it as well, nice quick charging. So it is important to note that the range will change depending on a few things: where you drive and how much the AC is running. But only a little bit with the AC. That only takes a little, not much at all. In Brisbane, here in Queensland, it's crazy hot all year round. A bit less so in winter months, but it's still hot, like 23, 24 degrees Celsius in, peak winter midday. So the air conditioning needs to be working and kept healthy, because it's used to keep the battery pack cool in hot months. This is a sticky topic, I understand that, but generally people that don't live in hot climates may not realise just how much heat comes from the ground as you drive right up into the battery pack. So when you park, the battery is getting cooked, basically. So having proper battery cooling is crucial. Having a fan to cool the battery is not enough. Or having any sort of passive cooling, like Nissan call it, where they don't even use a fan, it's just passive. It's not really enough. I mean, the battery is a very large, expensive part of the car. in you know, its chemistry, and it needs to be maintained, and it has to have a ceiling height to its temperature, which generally for lithium batteries can go up to, you know, 30, 40, 45 for short periods of time, but it doesn't want to live at that, you know. And it's particularly if you want to maintain your range and have a range of, you know, after 200,000 kilometers, if you still kind of want to have the same sort of range, you absolutely must be thinking about getting you know, a car with air-conditioned batteries, like one of the BYD cars. The only EVs that should be considered for Australia or any hot climate is one that uses the AC. Heat is the number one thing that literally breaks down your battery chemistry. And this is why there are so many Nissan Leafs for sale. Just have a look. If you just pause this video and have a look on Marketplace, you will see a Nissan Leaf with a broken battery. There are so many of them with 20 to 50% less battery capacity when they're only 5 or 8 years old, and only have something like 80,000 kilometers on the odometer. Which I know is, if this was like in the UK, for example, I literally know people that have had, they've done 180,000 kilometers and they still have 95 or 97% of the original capacity. So it makes a big difference. The actual cycling of the battery and the age of the battery is not a huge concern if you have a decent sized battery pack. It's really the heat. I think that's what everyone sort of is getting these days. I think they're kind of knowing this. But for some reason, Nissan are refusing to put anything other than passive cooling on their batteries, which is crazy. As much as the Nissan Leaf is actually one of my favourite cars of all time to drive, it can't be recommended. I just couldn't do it unless you live in a cold climate. And then, even if you live in a hot climate, you'll have some issues such as charging speeds, etc. So I could go on, I won't. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button so that YouTube know that people are enjoying it, and subscribe for more daily videos about electric vehicles.